Hello everyone, I'm Wheelman and welcome back for week 1 of the Season 11 challenges in Ghost Recon Wildlands. I've got a bit of a sore throat this week, but I'm gonna power through. So the first challenge this week is, while stationary, kill 3 Santa Blanca heavies from 100 meters or further. I went up to the Espiritu Santo province, and all the way up in the upper left-hand corner is this chapel. There's about 10 or so heavies wandering around this area. This was probably the hardest challenge this week, because it's the only one that I had to restart. And I think the reason for that is because the challenge is written incorrectly. I stood about where that sniper was, and all of the enemies were over 100 meters away, but I didn't get the challenge to finish. So I decided to try it again a little bit further up on the hill. So, if the challenge is not unlocking for you, try to increase your distance a little bit. For this, I was using the SR-25, however, the G28 has a bit better damage and a little bit better rate of fire. Either way, there's plenty of enemies in the area. If you don't get them on your first try, you can restart and try again. The next challenge this week is, in extreme difficulty and without firing a single shot, deploy to Caimanes Delta, then complete the mission, Boat Ride. If you aren't already in extreme difficulty, just make sure that you select it before you move on. And because of the proximity of the mission to the fast travel point, you will need to start the mission before fast traveling. All you have to do once you're there is hop in this boat here and travel a little ways down the river. If you stop just near this bridge here, you can cover most of the area with your drone. All that you need to do to clear this area is to call in the rebels and maybe use your sync shot to take out a few enemies.
I asked the rebels to do a recon of the area.
The only really notable enemy is a sniper in a tower on the far side of the base from you. If you take him out early, that will help the rebels immensely. When the coast is finally clear, you can either take the boat that you used to get here, or you can just walk or swim or whatever. Just run on inside the base and grab the boat. It's then just a matter of driving the boat to the drop-off point. My advice for the boat trip is don't go full throttle. There are a lot of twists and turns in the river, and there are docks sticking out basically almost to the center of the river. The driver's position is pretty well armored, so you don't have to worry about getting shot out of it. At some point or another, you will get a helicopter on you, but as soon as you get to the drop-off and get out, you will have completed the mission.
I'll let Bowman know she can have her crew pick up the boat.
After the agency's techs examine that prize, they ought to have a good feel for the rest of El Cerebro's designs.
The last solo challenge this week is, in extreme difficulty, without dying and without killing anyone, deploy to Okoro Charlie, then complete the missions, the Boat Lab, and Cooking with Coca. Now, I know that may sound next to impossible, but it's actually really easy. I actually ended up doing Cooking with Coca first. I decided to do it that way because I actually misremembered where the mission was and thought it was going to be much harder than the mission actually turned out to be. Ultimately, it worked out because it's easier to leave Cooking with Coca and travel to the boat lab than it is the other way around. throughout this mission, you're going to fire exactly once, and then you're basically going to let the rebels do the rest of the work. The first thing you want to do is clear the guard tower that's by the entrance. From here, you can take your single shot, and you can command the rebels to clear out the area. There's only 3 guys, so you can use a single sink shot to take them all out.
Roger. Let me get in position. I need a better position. Shit, I gotta find a good position. I've got the target. Ready. Call the shot. Got it. He's down.
The one shot that you're going to take is on the generator that's all the way at the back of the compound. For this, you're going to need an HTI sniper rifle. I am using the Desert Tech HTI, which is unlocked at tier 40 in tier mode, but the standard HTI works just the same. The reason that you should be taking out this generator is because it disables the alarm that's in the area. You don't want to risk a helicopter coming into the area and spotting and killing you, and the generator is a much bigger target, a much easier target than the box on the alarm itself. Once the generator is down, you're free to use the rebel diversion to take out the enemies that are in the area. You can also use the sink shot to help things along. Now, while the position up on this tower is pretty safe, I decided to move into the compound. When you go to move, don't run directly off the cliff, because there's a risk that you could fall to your death, and that will void the challenge. Once the area is clear, you can move up and set C4 on the various objectives. Now, I should note that all of the enemies in this area have not been killed. There is a small dock out behind the warehouse that has 3 enemies on it. They generally don't come inside the building, even if they've been alerted, but you should be careful anyway. If you're following this guide, you're going to have to kill them eventually, because we'll be taking a boat from that dock. Now, the mission, the boat lab, is in the middle of this lake. The good news is there are no alarms or anything, but the bad news is all of the docks are being guarded, and it's tricky to get to them. If you hang out on this rock formation that's over here, you can launch your drone and use that to help clear out the island.
Deploying drone.
The only real problem with using this island is it can interfere with your sink shot. Because the rest of your squad is just chilling in the water, they won't always be able to make every shot. My advice is to only try and sink shot one target at a time, and if you can't get a lock on that target, unmark him and remark him, because another squad member might be able to make the same shot. I had some problems getting back into my boat, so I just gave up and swam the rest of the way. This is literally the last guy that's on the island, and it's a great example of my squad not being able to make the shot. They're all swimming around out in the water, and they physically can't make the shot. They can't shoot from the water. So in order to actually kill him, I have to keep marking and unmarking until I can finally get a lock. If you're still having trouble, you can use the squad menu and order your squad to regroup. When the island is finally clear, you can move up and complete the objective. I tried to scare the people out of here just because I didn't feel like having civilian casualties, but ultimately it doesn't matter.
Any day you blow shit up is a good day. Alamasario's gonna have to deal with this quick, or his granddad will skin him alive.
We'll keep turning up the heat until he jumps. Then we get him.
Lastly, this week's Task Force challenge is using only handguns kill any bosses from production provinces with a headshot from 80 meters or further. The whole using only handguns thing only applies to killing the actual bosses. You can use whatever weapon you like before then. So I decided to do the mission Marcus Jensen down in Libertad. He's one of the bosses you have to extract rather than kill, but that actually ends up working in your favor because every time you kill him, it resets you close by. Some other quirks of this mission are he doesn't actually spawn until you reach the area, and he doesn't spawn in the area that you have to go to. After he does spawn in, I found that you can go over to this field area over here, and you'll have a clear line of sight on him. Now, that position is okay, but at 80 meters with a handgun, you're going to start dealing with bullet drop. If you're aiming directly at his head, you'll end up hitting his body, and if you're aiming over his head, there's a chance that you will shoot over his head and spook him. So what I ended up doing was calling for a vehicle when I spawned, driving it over to the location to trigger his spawn, and coming down this street next to him, near this green door. From here, you can sneak up on him and grab him before he has a chance to run away. Now, when you do grab him, he is scripted to have a short conversation and then run away. But if you go through this house and grab him from this angle, he has nowhere to run because of this wall behind him. You don't have to deal with a lengthy foot chase to grab him again, and it just makes the whole process easier. Now, I'm actually doing this on casual difficulty, and the waves that come to defend him as you grab him are scripted. There are exactly 3 trucks and 1 helicopter that come after him. The trucks will come first, and then the helicopter comes later. So grab him, stuff him into your vehicle, and then you can drive away. But you won't be driving far.
No targets present.
I picked this spot over here because there is a group of enemies on the other side of the village, and I wanted to be a decent ways away from them so that I didn't aggro them as I was doing this. It's a good idea to take a moment and clear out the enemies before you actually take this shot.
We're clear.
When the helicopter's gone, you're clear to take the shot. I found the best way to do this was to aim at the roof of the truck, just above the windshield. From there, I immediately switched to my pistol and that would give me the appropriate drop for a headshot. So thank you for watching this week's video. If you liked it, leave a like on it, and for the outro, enjoy this heartwarming story of a man in his wheelbarrow.
He's dead.